Good morning, everyone. It's Jared here from the Alpha Capital Group. Just to give a quick roundup, following the week of volatility that we have just ensued. So I suppose all our direct attention and focus this week has been applied to, I suppose, the continuous updates and developments from the Russia-Ukraine spat, which is currently ongoing. Tensions yesterday continued to deteriorate as the price action continued to remain quite volatile. And we saw that in the indices across the board. Traditionally, as we know, Thursday is our busiest trading day of the week. But we saw that resonate very, very clearly yesterday on some of the risk-off narratives that was at play in the markets. So I think into the weekend, we'll be looking to keep a close eye on the risk-on, risk-off nature narratives within the markets. And I suppose analyzing where we kind of close off and open up into Monday. Okay, so this week we've seen, largely speaking, in the FX markets, a lot of I suppose consolidation between different currencies. But the big moves has really occurred this week in gold and in the indices, which have continued to decline lower. Again, that's factoring in the risk off, risk on nature of the markets and the volatility between Russia and Ukraine. So without further ado, if we just get straight into it, looking at the economic calendar, our week is pretty much done. The only thing really left now is, I suppose, gearing towards, from a fundamental perspective now, updates regarding the obviously Russia-Ukraine into the weekly close this week, and looking at then how we kind of progress and open on Sunday night into Monday for a new trading week. And then Monday, as we know, is a bank holiday in the US, so we do expect thinner volume in the US trading session in the afternoon. So worth bearing that in mind, that we mightn't really start to get a proper kick into the markets until Tuesday. So we'll be tackling that in our Monday preview as well. So if we look at the price action just very, very quickly on some of these charts, looking at gold, first and foremost, we can see how the price action has been so volatile this week, particularly on the daily. If you're looking at daily price actions, for example, last week we opened up obviously and closed very, very strongly. We had a little bit of a pullback earlier on this week, but the price action realistically from kind of Wednesday into Thursday continued to progress as the fundamentals started to take hold, and we saw the price action on gold continue to kind of push higher into this 1900 level. Now we have touched 1900 overnight, which was a level that I kind of alluded to over the last couple of weeks. And we can see that very, very clearly taking hold, particularly after, I suppose, the break retest and the fundamental correlations within the markets this week. That price action has continued to push higher through these short-term areas of interest into this higher time frame handle here at 1900. Now this is retesting the highs currently, which was located last in November. So if we go back to November previously, we had 1870, which was broken on, I suppose, yesterday, and the price action is now retesting the highs from last June in the 1900 to 1920 level. So we can see that this overall is a clear price action level. So definitely keep an eye on the fundamentals over the weekend, because if there's a continuation in negative narratives, we could well and truly see price action try and break through 19 and continue progressing higher to the upside. Like we have some serious levels up above 1910, 1915 into kind of 1950, 1960. So that becomes another area of interest if this bullish gold narrative continues to play out. If we move across to the S&P very, very quickly. So this is something that I was kind of focused on yesterday, was the fact that the price action overall in the S&Ps was consolidating. And something I was kind of looking at myself personally was that I knew when price action broke through these kind of short-term weekly lows here, that there was only one way this was going to go. And we came all the way back down yesterday, last night, late on into the close, to retest some of these levels from Valentine's Day, which was Monday. Okay, so we're retesting these lows currently at the moment. So we have seen a little bit of a pop overnight in the indices, but again, that could very, very easily be a short-term move after what's been a very, very bearish couple of weeks. So we had that initial sell-off in January, as we've discussed in past videos. We had that relief rally, and the price action now is struggling again on these negative fundamentals. So I suppose all eyes today into the weekend: does the price action break through these weekly lows here that we formed between 43.70, 75, and continue progressing lower on the S&P? On the NASDAQ, very, very quickly, if we progress to the NASDAQ, we can see here as well, very, very similar structure, we broke through and we continued to progress actually overnight into this area between kind of 14.1-ish. Now, I suppose if we're looking at the short-term timeframes in particular, for those who trade maybe scalping or short-term positions, the price action was fairly clear yesterday at the open. We broke through, we came back up to retest, and the price action continued to sell off with further fundamental narratives through the afternoon and the evening into the close. Now, since then, the price action has got a little bit of a retrace. So again, I think that's just a knee-jerk reaction off a very, very heavy sell, particularly here in the NASDAQ. So again, watch your price action levels. If you're technicals, if you're fundamental, well, then you're obviously watching the news for latest updates. So your tweet deck obviously comes in very, very handy there on your fundamentals. And last but not least, then the indices. So if we're looking at this, predominantly speaking, but what can we see? Well, the price action, this was something that I kind of looked at myself from a personal play. Price action had come up, we'd rejected them. The fundamentals yesterday completely sold off, broke through some near-term lows here at around about 34,650, 34,700, and we continue to test the lows from Monday again into this 34,300 level. Now, of course, the price action short-term has seen a little bit of a bullish impulse off these lows here at around about 34,300. So it'll be worth keeping an eye. Is there further selling coming in the indices to try and complete this potential secular move into these lows at 34,000? So some things I'm kind of keeping a look on. Of course, all eyes really on fundamentals today into the close, but also over the weekend. Now, of course, Russia, there was talks that Antony Blinken, who is high up in the administration in the US, would be meeting the Russian Foreign Secretary, I think his name is Lavrov, to, I suppose, discuss kind of an amicable solution. So if that kind of does play out and the narratives change towards more peaceful resolution, then we'll see these indices probably fly back and gold will make a correction. So worth understanding the fundamental narratives as well with the price action, because price action at the moment is key. Until Monday, have a great weekend.